Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I've got some more amazing bits of information that I want to share with you in this video. So I hope you can bear with me and watch the whole thing, all four parts, because I'm going to go into the four horsemen of the apocalypse that are already running right now. I'm going to go into not only one of the eighth kings, but also another eighth king that we have, both within the beast and the woman riding the beast, and just a bunch of other things that confirm the fulfillment of biblical writings that we've been looking at for the past 3 years. So I hope you can watch the whole, all four parts that I'm about to go into here. So remember this major watch period we had back in January 15th through the 17th. And, you know, we had the lightning that struck the hand of the Christ statue right in the middle of that. But there was also something else that happened on the 15th. It was this speech that the head of the IMF gave at the National Press Club. And this is really weird. You may have heard others talking about it on YouTube, but let me just play the opening clip right here real quick.
To hear about these matters today, please join me in giving a warm National Press Club welcome to Managing Director of the IMF, Christine Lagarde.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. As you can tell, I do as I'm told, and I thought I had to stand up at the time when my immediate predecessor would sit down, and clearly I failed. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me with you. I would like to thank the National Press Club, and especially President Angela Grilling-Keane, for not only inviting me to this prestigious venue, but essentially presenting the outline of what I want to talk to you about now. So it's as if we had prepared that together, which we have not. Now, let me first of all, of course, begin by wishing you all a Happy New Year. I guess it's still time to do that, given that we are just exactly halfway through between our Western New Year and the Lunar New Year, which will loom in a few weeks' time.
So I'm just going to stop this for a second because I want to point out that she made this speech on January 15th, and then the first thing that she mentioned in her speech was that they were halfway between the Western New Year on January 1st and the Lunar New Year, which she said would begin in a couple of weeks. So the new moon on January 30th was the first month according to the calendar that she follows, the head of the IMF. So before we look at the whole clip, let's just take a look at what the IMF is. It's the International Monetary Fund. It was initiated in 1944 at the Bretton Woods Conference, which was formerly known as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference. So the UN created the IMF in July of 1944, and the following month, in August of 1944, the UN itself was formulated at the Dumbarton Oaks Conference. So the UN, which we now know is the final phase of the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, according to the Bible, who comes in the name of peace, signing a peace treaty with the whole world, what we're told will break that treaty later on. That's who we're talking about here. The CEO of the IMF, who's giving this speech, this is the spokesperson for the very first order of business for the beast. This monetary fund was so important to the UN that they established this before they even established themselves. Okay, so listen to what she says at the very beginning of her speech. I'm going to play the whole clip now. It's about 3 minutes. But this tells you how they think. So if you ever wonder why people on YouTube look at numbers and patterns. This is the part of the reason why, because the people that are at the top of the power structure of our world right now, they think like that. So she's talking about numerology and all these other things. So I'm just going to play the whole clip. It's about 3 minutes right here.
Now, let me first of all, of course, begin by wishing you all a Happy New Year. I guess it's still time to do that, given that we are just exactly halfway through between our Western New Year and the Lunar New Year, which will loom in a few weeks' time. I think it's also appropriate to wish ourselves a Happy New Year, given what I would like to talk to you about, which has to do with the global economy and what we should expect for 2014. Now, I'm going to test you numerology skills by asking you to think about the magic 7. Okay? Most of you will know that 7 is quite a number in all sorts of themes, religions, and I'm sure that you can compress numbers as well. So, if we think about 2014, all right, I'm just giving you 2014, you drop the 0, 14, 2 times 7. Okay, that's just by way of example, and we're going to carry on. So 2014 will be a milestone and hopefully a magic year in many respects. It will mark the 100th anniversary of the First World War back in 1914. It will mark the 70th anniversary, drop the 0, 7, of the Bretton Woods Conference that actually gave birth to the IMF. And it will be the 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. 25th. Okay. It will also mark the 7th anniversary of the financial market jitters that quickly turned into the greatest global economic calamity since the Great Depression. The crisis still lingers. Yet, optimism is in the air. We've left the deep freeze behind us, and the horizon looks just a bit brighter. So my hope and my wish for 2014 is that after those 7 miserable years, weak and fragile, we have 7 strong years. Now, I don't know whether the G7 will have anything to do with it, or whether it will be the G20. I certainly hope that the IMF will have something to do with it.
Okay, so again, she was giving this speech on the first day of our major watch this year, on the 15th of January. And she said, according to the calendar that she observes, the first lunar month of the year started on the new moon of January 30th. And then after that, she spent several minutes talking about the number 7 and how 2014 will be, quote, a milestone. So I don't know what calendar she's using, but according to her, the first lunar month started on January 30th, which means that the 7th lunar month of her year will start on the new moon of July 26th. So as she mentioned, the actual 70th anniversary of the creation of the IMF occurred during July of this year. The Bretton Woods Conference was held July 1st through the 22nd in 1944. So the 70th anniversary of that was July 1st through the 22nd this year. And you can see it actually started on the first day of True Shavuot this year. So that's one thing. And then we all know how important the number 70 is in the biblical text. I just think it's sort of odd that she mentioned that because she works for the beast. I mean, probably unknowingly, because most people don't know that the UN is the beast. But we are literally in the 70th year of the beast right now, in the exact midst of the time period that the beast was formed 70 years ago, the actual season in which the beast was formed 70 years ago. And this new moon right here on July 26th is the start of their 7th month. I mean, again, I don't know where she gets that from, but obviously she's in one of the most important positions in the world power structure right now, so I think it's significant. And during this 7th month of their lunar year is the 70th anniversary of the Dumbarton Oaks Conference, which formulated the United Nations itself. And that occurred August 21st through October 7th, 1944, right here. So the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the beast, that 70th anniversary is occurring in their 7th month, their 7th lunar month. It starts August 21st. It goes through September until October during the standard Jewish fall feast, and ending exactly the day before that lunar eclipse that occurs on the first day of Sukkot this year on the standard calendar. So I know you're aware of the rare occurrence in 2014 and 2015 of the lunar eclipses falling on the standard Passover and Sukkot, the 1st and 7th months of the standard Jewish calendar. But most people are not aware that it's also the solar eclipses in 2014 that are landing on the ancient biblical first day of the first month and first day of the 7th month this year. So it's not just the lunar eclipses on the standard calendar, it's also the solar eclipses on the ancient calendar this year. And then the 70th anniversary of the creation of the beast will start August 21st this year and end October 7th, one day prior to this eclipse right here. So the CEO of the IMF said the year 2014 will be a milestone. It wasn't a question, it was a statement that she made in a prepared speech that was written beforehand. So it's a clear statement. I'll just play that clip again.
So 2014 will be a milestone and hopefully a magic year in many respects.
Okay,
it will
so
mark...
she says 2014 will be a milestone and hopefully the start of 7 strong years. She says that later, so let me play that part of it.
So my hope and my wish for 2014 is that after those 7 miserable years, weak and fragile, we have 7 strong years. Now, I don't know...
Okay, so she talks about how she hopes that 2014 will be a milestone, and she hopes that it will start 7 strong years after 7 weak years. But the question is, 7 strong years for who? Because she works for the beast, so she's saying she senses optimism in the air, which is her environment, the environment of the beast. So if the beast is optimistic and expects 7 strong years to start, what does that mean for us? And the 7 strong years and the 7 weak years is a reference to Genesis 41. It's the king of Egypt has this dream about 7 skinny cows that ate up 7 fat cows, and then 7 thin, withered ears of corn ate up 7 good ears of corn. And then Joseph interpreted the dream and said that the 7 cows and the 7 ears of corn represent 7 years. And he says, there will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And after that, there will be 7 years of famine. And the famine will be very grievous. So the thing about Egypt is that Egypt is the spiritual name for the final empire called Babylon the Great. That's what the biblical texts are telling us. So that's why this story is important. But when she says there's optimism among the beasts, basically, that there will be 7 strong years after 7 weak ones, it's meant to be a reference to Genesis 41, except it's backward. Genesis 41 says the 7 good years come first and the 7 bad years are next. But here's the thing, she's not wrong, because the strong years of the beast are the bad years for everyone else. That's what the Bible says. You see what I mean? Okay, so I have to stop part 1 right here. I really hope that you'll bear with me and watch part 2 as well, because there's a lot of new information in here that I just recently discovered that just confirms that the fulfillments of prophecy that we've been looking at for the last couple of years is in fact the actual fulfillments of those, that it is correct. So I hope you'll bear with me and watch part 2. The link to the playlist is below.